are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend. The police are after me, she said. Yeah, they held their gun to my head. Somehow I ducked, escaped, and fled the scene. Well, they already ran my ID. Yeah, they already ran my ID. They pulled me off the train in the Portland rain. Mid-November ain't the warmest ride, and the crater ain't the best place to hide, especially when you're riding suicide. Especially when you're riding suicide. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend. So I got back on when they were gone on the flagged old gondola. Then I smoked the resin in my bunk cause the police didn't find it. Woke up in a mountain range, woke to a cold, wet, lonesome pain. And then the time it came to get the fuck off the train because the police are after me again for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. Yeah, the police are after me, my friend, for a crime I don't even believe in. Yeah, the police are after me again. She said the police are after me for being dirty, trespassing. They hate me cause I ain't clean, but I think they're the ones who are dirty.
Alright, we're doing this one way or another. Welcome everyone to the Garret Schuelke podcast. I am your host, Garret Schuelke, and we are back here again in good old Kalamazoo, Elmblad Media Group studios, here at the Park Trade Center. And today, my guest, I believe this is your third time on this show.
Yep, that's correct. So, a certain amount of times do I get, like, so if I appear in your podcast, like, 5 times, do I get, like, some free swag, like a book bag, or, like, a mug, or, like, no.
Well, I can figure out something.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I'm getting my stuff distributed on other platforms, including Spotify, your voice is getting out there.
Yeah.
Yep. But he is many things. He's a DJ, radio host, rapper, house venue operator, a member of the Kalamazoo Socialist Party, caretaker, and now a candidate for Kalamazoo City Commission.
Yeah, that's right.
Ladies and gentlemen,
oh boy,
Andrew James Argo, a.k.a. Andy Argo.
Andy Argo, yeah.
Yeah, you had to change your name on there because I guess they thought you were a Russian spy or a bot or something.
Actually, this is some good nuts and bolts for anybody who's ever planning to, if you're planning to use Facebook ads to build up your page, and this is whether it's political or not, you have to, Facebook name has to match up with your actual legal name, so that's why it's now Andrew James Argo instead of just Andy Argo, which is colloquially what basically everybody in town knows me as. But
well, it may help you. Andrew James Argo is your Christian name.
Yeah.
That will help you out with the Christian conservatism.
You guys get the godly vote there, yeah. Mm-hmm. Then I explained that Jesus, kind of wanted us to take care of the poor, and that, some of his first disciples basically started a Occupy Wall Street style encampment. And,
hang on, that's the cuck version of Jesus.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, you see, that was censored by all the snowflakes throughout the years. Mm-hmm. The actual Sermon on the Mount is fuck the poor, give me my gun.
Yeah, there you go. That's American Jesus. Yes.
Andy, my friend, it's good to have you on again.
Mm-hmm. Good to be on. Yeah.
As I said in the car, too, I admire your long hair, your mutton chops.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
As I, too, now finally have my ponytail.
Yeah.
I grew out of that fucking Partridge Family haircut. It can only get better from here.
Oh, yeah. It's moving on up, sweetheart. We're doing it. No.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, folks, I had to pick up Mr. Argo here as he was canvassing.
That's right. Yep. Knocked on doors for about 8 hours over in the East Side neighborhood today. Very proud of it, and just let anybody know who's if you're running and you don't want to sacrifice your principles, you want to run as a socialist. It's possible, but you got to put in the footwork. And it's a lot of footwork.
I guess before we begin on the whole campaign itself, how did that go today? Was there a particular experience from other canvassing you've done over the week?
Well, something that's been really interesting canvassing this campaign, because I've done a lot of canvassing before, different politicians for various initiatives or ballot petitions, etc. But what's really gone well, and this is one of our Kalamazoo Socialist Party hypotheses that has been proven kind of beyond our expectations, honestly.
Which, by the way, when I was writing the intro here, for some reason I wrote Kalamazoo Socialist Club.
No, it's not a club. It's a party. Yeah.
Like, I just realized that when I was introducing there. I'm like, Kalamazoo Socialist. What the fuck? Party.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
But so kind of the way we've split it up. We're encouraging our volunteer canvassers to focus on at least this kind of early period. Well, it's not really early in campaign terms, but we're having them focus on places like Winchell and Westnedge Hill, specifically to kind of find allies, people who are sympathetic to social movements in Kalamazoo. It's basically, we don't want to leave anything on the table. Those are traditionally the areas that Democratic candidates play strongest in. And I think we have a reasonable chance at swaying a lot of the kind of activist belts that exist in those neighborhoods. But
so it's not just you out there today.
No. We had a couple of our volunteers over in Winchell, some people in Westnedge Hill over the weekend. We'll say that's probably our biggest need right now. We need more door knockers. Again, we've got all of the ingredients for a winning grassroots campaign. But, again, that's like getting all the perfect ingredients without a crust. And that's not to downplay. Again, our canvassers have been out there doing a really fantastic job. It's just kind of in things are starting to heat up a lot. Some of the other candidates, particularly like the Democratic ones, have really robust door knocking efforts too. So we really got to step up and at least match that, exceed it. I will say though. So as far as knocking on doors in working class neighborhoods, that's the one thing I always tell you: don't focus on those places if you're trying to win an election. Again, the main priority of this campaign is not even necessarily to get that city commission seat; it's to organize working class people in Kalamazoo. And when I knock on these doors, it's very different when you start talking about building a working class movement. Working class solidarity. There's an excitement I've seen when I talk to these people that I have not seen when I've been out canvassing before, either for like other candidates or other issues. So I think like we've hit a very particular vein here in Kalamazoo with the working class that I think is very strong, and it's going to mean we're going to have a very solid base after the election, regardless of what pans out, to start doing a lot of our, again, working class organizing projects. So,
well, I thank you, Andy, because you kind of did a pretty good segue there. So let's start at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, Andy, when did you decide to run for city commission? Any particular reason or event that happened that made you want to do it?
Well, it's something I've been thinking about for the last 2 or 3 years now. Ever since, and granted, my personal politics have shifted and evolved since 2015 Bernie campaign, but the idea that it's grassroots organizers, working class people, those are the ones who need to run for these seats. That's been something that's been in my head for a while now. Now, over the last year, I've been thinking really hard about how do you run an explicitly anti-capitalist campaign while also using a lot of the knowledge I've gained in these progressive election groups, thinking like Michigan United, Michigan for Liberation, People's Action, and integrate that into like a viable winning campaign. So I've been thinking about that probably for the last year. And once we did the reboot of the Kalamazoo Socialist Party, I had some comrades I was working with. We really kind of developed a plan, kind of run as a slate, which isn't currently happening. I talk about that a little bit more later in the show.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I do have a question about the evolution of the campaign.
Yeah. But it's honestly, I've been thinking about it since 2017. It was this year that I thought, you know what, I think I've got the chops for it this time. I've got enough experience, and I really wanted to kind of try out, as much as it is definitely an experiment. We do have precedents around the country. I think a lot about some of the DSA people who've gotten into these positions. Lee Carter, he took on a district in his home state of Virginia, West Virginia, I think, that is far more conservative than the city of Kalamazoo is, and he ended up toppling the top Republican delegate in his state. So there are precedents for it. I think you can see people with my kind of politics winning in places where they're not expected to win.
Yeah, because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won, obviously.
Yep.
And even here in Michigan, Rashid Tlaib won.
Yep, that's right. Yep. So I pulled the trigger on it in late April, and I was trying to think of how to make sure that we build a good feedback loop between this electoral action and the movement building that we're trying to do. Canvassing and what we've been doing with the campaign has been really helpful in that. I think if you just start knocking on people's doors, just like I'm just some rando trying to organize a working class, it's something people aren't very familiar with. But if you start out like, I'm running for this office and I want to organize a working class, that's some people understand a little bit more in like a modern political context.
But if you really think about it, aren't all political candidates who knock on your door randos at heart?
That's definitely true. Because some of those randos have a lot of money and institutional support.
Even Bernie Sanders started out as a rando.
That's definitely true. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned before that you did put some thought into this for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Have you, before this, have you thought about running for any type of political or government position? Or have you ever ran for anything, say, when you were in college or high school?
Actually, I haven't. And, I think a big part of the reason for that is, my experience as a grassroots organizer really goes back to 2014, 2015. But, I'm 32. I've been in this community a very long time. But there's a certain aspect of Kalamazoo in particular. A lot of the best leftists do not participate in the system for good reason, because we
can confirm.
Yes, can confirm. We have an honest analysis, systemic analysis of it, and bottom line, even the reason the movement building piece is such a strong part of what we're pushing is, we've got this really great platform and all that, and we want to be a representative for the working class of Kalamazoo, but without actually building a broad working class movement, you're not going to see most of this stuff done or doable. There's only so much the city can do, especially within the confines that we have in Kalamazoo, which, we've basically got a couple of billionaires, more or less, with their hands on the purse strings. And I go in a much deeper discussion about that. I've actually I do have some friends who are on the foundation board, and I get a little bit of pushback because it is doing good things. But bottom line, the kind of solutions we're going to need are diametrically opposed to the interests of capital and capitalists, and specifically the capitalists that live in this city. And no one city commissioner, even mayor, are going to be able to push back against that without broad-based working class support.
Yeah, real serious question here. Have you considered knocking on those rich donors' doors?
Well, look, if you're rich and you're listening to this,
that's my main audience is multi-billionaires.
But there is such a thing as being a class trader, and if you are of the wealthy, that's the highest compliment I can give you. I will say we actually did get a really substantial donation from somebody I've known for a while, like family friend, who had some pocket change, and they were able to give us a lot of walking around money to get pamphlets and campaign lit. So I got to give a big thanks to them. But yeah, I think for the most part, our whole funding structure is direct asks. People in my family and friends network. We are going to be, making a couple of funding asks for just small dollar donations. We got yard signs coming up, which if you ever run for office before, for fuck's sake, yard signs. God damn.
Dude.
This is, yeah.
Okay, give us a preview. Like, what's the cool ass logo you have for yourself?
Well, actually, we've got a good friend of ours is doing some graphic design work for us. Our bumper sticker, and I think the yard sign will have kind of this imagery too, but it's the Kalamazoo skyline. There's going to be like a sun that's shaped like a gear. Andy Argo for City Commission, and we haven't honed down quite yet on what the slogan is, but it's going to be something like, of the workers, for the workers, or for the working class, or something that moves it all back into that.
Make Kalamazoo great again.
God. I actually did have my first overt Trumper interaction earlier.
Oh, nice. We'll get to that later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For real though, I did think that if you were to have a logo, it'd just be like the Public Enemy crosshairs, but with like an outline of your figure.
Yeah.
Which you could tell because you got like the hat with all the buttons and the flowy hair on it.
Yeah.
All right, and here comes the real fun part, because I know after a long day of canvassing, you just want to regurgitate all this. And you can see this all online on the Kalamazoo Socialist Party website, and of course, a smaller version of it in pictures on your campaign Facebook page.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
What would you consider the main points of your campaign?
All right, so building off of that base of really, one of the unique things about our platform is it's multi-tiered in a sense that we look for how can we accomplish these things for the city, and if the city won't do it, how can we accomplish these things just as grassroots organizers? And this is valid whether I get in the commission or not. There's certain things that I don't think the commission would necessarily pass or pursue unless there was a lot of buy-in from city constituents. But I want to specify that a couple of the really big things that we're really pushing for, something we hear from everyone across the city, whatever neighborhood they live in. Well, speaking mostly about the working class ones, this isn't really something you run into in like Winchell or Westminch Hill.
Well, very quickly, what would you, I guess, consider the working class neighborhoods in Kalamazoo to be?
The working class neighborhoods, particularly as we've targeted them, our main targets: Vine, Edison, North Side, and East Side. There are a few tertiary neighborhoods that we're also going to hit. There's some definite working class stretches along kind of outside, I'd say between Westminch Hill and Winchell. If you're driving along Westminch towards Portage, on your left there's a bunch of working class neighborhoods just past the Taco Bell before you get to Kilgore. And then there's a couple of other little hot spots like that too. But I'd say like the main focus, if you're breaking it down by the neighborhoods, are Vine, Edison, North Side, and East Side as far as like the working class core of Kalamazoo.
All right.
So and this is right from like my campaign leaflet. I tried to break down what are like the 5 things that are really most important to the campaign. One that comes up with every housing. So we're pushing a really strong housing for all platform, and what that also includes is we want increased and actually enforceable renters' rights in the city. We want a tenant's bill of rights to be enshrined into city law. We also want to make sure that we protect working class homeowners and fight back against gentrification, which again has been starting to swallow up parts of like Vine, North Side, East Side to a certain extent definitely, and parts of Edison. We've got to make sure that people don't get priced out of their own homes, and look at models that economically develop the communities that already exist here, rather than the kind of model that's being pursued by the capitalists in Kalamazoo, which is like building up all these luxury apartments, trying to get the bourgeois to move back into town. And
Actually, you do have some experience with this, because I believe you did get priced out of a house of yours.
That is correct. That's a really concrete example.
It was the house venue called Deep Space Nine, I believe.
And what happened to that is a local landlord, unaffiliated with property management and stuff, but this happens time and time again. Independent landlord fixing up their property over a number of years, and told us there was an end game. He was eventually planning to sell it, so there was that transparency. But he told us at the last possible legal moment that he possibly could that he wasn't going to re-sign the lease.
Classy.
Yes. So we had to scramble and find a new place, and now Lukeman Property Management oversees my property. Who, luckily I think they're just so apathetic about local politics. They just care about getting rent. They don't know I'm coming after them. But
fun little factoid to all my devoted fans. The very first episode that we had Andy on, this just like happened to you, or was in the process of happening to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We never got into it because we were just having so much fun talking about other stuff.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
I did actually ask you, like, hey, are you okay with talking about this? Because I don't know if like there'll be legal ramifications.
Yeah.
Like, you go to court and they use you talking shit on a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You see, Mr. Argo, why are you quoting Dead Kennedy lyrics about your landlord on this podcast?
Then I come on and say, by the way, I got all the receipts of the stuff the landlord is lying about or trying to get money for that he shouldn't. That's saying I'm very litigious. But
very quickly, funny story. Of course, I hate landlords, and sometimes I get particularly angry. Mm-hmm. And I post, a lyrics video to Dead Kennedy's Let's Lynch the Landlord.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And around this time in Grand Rapids, there was a controversy with a landlord who was like putting cameras in a trailer he was renting out, blackmailing the woman there. So I posted a few anti-landlord stuff on there.
Yeah.
Next on my Facebook ads, well, not the ads, but like some random sponsored ad for an event coming up at DeVos Hall, which was basically a landlord convention. I'm like, why am I getting this fucking thing?
Those algorithms, man.
No, so I thought about it, and it's like, wait, I made all these anti-landlord posts, so they must think I want to go to that.
Yeah.
I then promptly spammed that page with a landlord, and I got banned from it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, so, a couple things I just want to cap off with the Housing for All thing. Some people think that it's a weird pipe dream. There are other cities and even states in the United States that have pursued a Housing for All program with a great deal of success. So it's not a completely, alien concept.
Including rent control. Like, I think New York recently put through some legislation for rent control.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is New York, You can see in America, highest price places.
Real estate capitalism has...
That or San Francisco are like the highest places.
Yeah, they really have their tendrils in there. That they were able to get rent controlled in a state like that means that can happen anywhere. And rent control is illegal here in Michigan. Again, that's the problem.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yep.
Are you kidding me?
No,
really?
I am not. That's what happens when the Republicans do a successful takeover of your state legislature. They can pass laws that directly centralize and maintain the power of your friendly neighborhood slumlord. Yeah.
Well, I legitimately did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Well, we're working on it.
Well, you know what?
Need the rest of the state get on board with that too, though.
You know what? That may be illegal, but you know what's not illegal?
Yeah.
Seizing the property and imprisoning the landlords like Mao Zedong.
Hey, yeah, it's what our cats tell us to do. Meow, meow, meow.
All right. Besides housing, what are the other main points that I guess you're running on? I mean, you have a lot, obviously, because I read through them, but I guess the bold parts.
Right. Yeah. I think the second thing I bring up, because again, this is so worker focused, and I talk about in terms of securing a living wage. How do you do that? The kind of policies that I want to bring to the table as a potential city commissioner would be ones that steer the city towards making sure that workers' rights exist in the first place, in the workplace, that people do not get backlash when they're trying to organize their workplaces. And there are a few things on the books here in Kalamazoo, but they are not enforced. And you definitely you do not see anybody in the city government really talking about this as an issue. We need workers to be able to unionize their workplace with support from the city and with legal support. And I also want to steer the city into investing in worker cooperatives where workers have a direct and democratic stake in their workplaces. Ideally, I think that's the only business that should exist in Kalamazoo. That would be a very long-term plan. But again,
well, that's not a good question here. How much of your campaign's points sync up with the values and beliefs of the Kalamazoo Socialist Party?
Well, all of them, because we basically, basically the way that process worked is, we had so there's the national SP USA platform, then there's the Socialist Party of Michigan platform. We took that platform, we broke down all of the things, kind of what you see on my Facebook page. Even that is still kind of, synopsizing the larger one, but we tried to really push forward those particular points. We added points that needed to be added specific to Kalamazoo, and we took the points from the state platform that we felt were most necessary and most actionable, things we could actually move on, and put them into the local platform. Again, what action means in our context when... so they kind of go to what we can do as a city. We're pushing for a $16 minimum wage, and we want to make it policy in the city that a business owner or CEO that operates in Kalamazoo can only make 10 times as much as their lowest paid worker. Honestly, we've almost had more success with the latter, because I've talked to a lot of workers who they work in places like food dance or places with a lot of overhead. And their concern is well, if you raise the minimum wage too much, then it might put me out of business. They're okay, we'll frame it this way. We just want to make sure your boss is paying their workers their fair share, and that their profit is going back into workers' wages and not into them getting a second boat that summer or some bullshit. Yeah.
All right, a lot of this says sync up with the party there. Are there any particular points that you wanted to put in there, that weren't part of the socialist platform, but you're I want to run on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Because obviously, as you can see, the housing issue is very close to you, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a couple of things about specific how-tos. When we talk about affordable housing, how do we actually do that? When we're run roughshod by capitalism. One of my big proposals is starting a citizens land bank. It's something they've had a great deal of success with in Jackson, Mississippi, and that's when you're in a city that's set up where it's run by the capitalists, but if you vigorously organize grassroots working class movement, you can start pooling your money together as workers and buy up vacant lots, empty property, and with the explicit goal of putting that back for community use as soon as possible and getting those houses into the hands of people who need housing. Currently, who owns most of that land are an array of capitalist property management companies and the Kalamazoo County Land Bank, which is owned by, not owned, I'm misspeaking, is facilitated by Mary Balkema, who is, I like to say Kalamazoo is mostly liberal. You have some moderate Republicans in there. At them, they at least capitalize certain parts of capitalism on the margins. Mary is the exception to the rule. She is a hardcore capitalist.
Well, I believe she's the one that complained after Trump won the presidency about a campaign billboard being vandalized. Mm-hmm. Was that her?
Yeah, she complained about that, and she also complained when she got outed for taking selfies with Joe Arpaio. So, she is the type of person that takes selfies with fascists and then bundles all of the county's properties so that the average prospective homeowner can't buy them directly. They have to do it through some rich investor who decided, I'm going to buy up 20, 30, 40 lots today. This is exactly
very nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's get into the campaign yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Itself.
Yeah. There's nothing to fear but the campaign itself.
It's not you. It's it.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good warning to the billionaires. There's nothing to fear but my campaign itself.
And guillotines.
Guillotine, yeah.
Which is totally not part of your platform, we assure you.
Yeah, I think, well, at a prospective rally, I think one of the things I am going to say is, like, you know, consider the billionaires, the landlords, the crummy bosses. You should consider my candidacy a warning shot across the bow, because, I ain't going away, and neither is the working class, and I will radicalize them, damn it.
A compromise between you and the gulag.
Yeah, exactly.
We will get into that, but okay.
Andy Argo, don't get bunked by organizing, or else the real physical revolution is going to come to your doorstep. That's as Joe Biden said.
He said a lot. He says a lot of great things, especially at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so it's been going on since April, right? This campaign.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How have you been running it so far?
So, this will be some good. Take notes if you're a leftist trying to run one of these things. I have a lot of experience being trained up by groups like Michigan United and People's Action. And they teach leftist progressives how to run left progressive campaigns, and they do it extremely well. I really attribute the amount of success I've had so far to the training that I got through them. What I'd really like to see is a version of that that's more explicitly anti-capitalist, because they stop short of saying the C word. They talk about neoliberalism a lot, but that's getting kind of into the weeds of things. So let me talk a little bit more brass tacks. So the campaign that we're running, we've been canvassing. We started really early, and you need to do that if you're an underdog candidate running against people who have a lot of organizing and financial power. So we started canvassing back in April, started tabling a lot of events, particularly in the Vine neighborhood. Not only does it have a working class core, but I think it's probably the only neighborhood with a demographically significant amount of leftists. So we wanted to start off there, basically as a jumping off point.
And students.
Students are a big thing. Yeah.
I'll just say it.
Yeah.
Hipsters.
Yeah, there's still a lot of them around.
A.K.A. the student ghetto, which the Vine Neighborhood Association hates.
A lot more gutter punks these days. But,
oh, Jesus.
Yeah. they're getting better, though. It's
oh, that's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of my characters is technically a gutter punk.
Yeah.
So I'm appropriating their culture. Just like how Lil Nas X appropriates cowboy culture.
Yeah. Well, hey, no, it's white people appropriated cowboy culture first. He appropriated it back. Because the original cowboys, they were mostly black and Latinx folks, because white people didn't want to do that shit. It's hard work being a cowboy. You just
gotta hit that Old Town Road to relax.
You got to, yeah. Oh,
man. Okay, so how has it been run so far, your campaign?
Yeah, so...
what is the structure of it, I suppose?
Oh, the structure of it? Basically, we have... I will say it is mostly self-run. I don't have, a treasurer or anything like that. Tristan is acting as the campaign manager, slash... just still the party... She's still the KSP party treasurer, but... Her actual role, I'd say she's more like co-chair, honestly, because she has been helping me run all this shit so well.
That's the thing. Honestly, I haven't looked into any of the other candidates. Yeah. Besides, I'm straight up Grand Rapids now, so it's not like I could vote. If I wanted to. So I have you on this podcast instead of show my support.
Oh yeah,
and because I love you.
Oh, thank you, Garrett.
But yeah, I noticed when you first started out checking it out. It kind of seemed like, instead of a single individual, i.e. you, is you, Tristan, and Emily, I believe her name was, and you were kind of working together as a team, but you were the figurehead in a way.
I mean, I don't want to say that because it's.
I try to think of a better word.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I guess I've got one of. I hate to talk about the highest public profile So I'll step back and talk a little bit about.
Basically, what I meant was due to electoral rules, you can only elect one person.
Right. Yeah.
But you kind of what is that word? Superseded.
God. Yeah.
I hate my language skills.
Okay. So,
but basically, you got around that by saying like, yeah, technically I'm running, but this is my team, so you're gonna elect a team if you vote for me.
well, that was the original idea, and I'll go back and talk a little bit about that. So the idea of running a slate. We've seen this happen in other places. The Chicago DSA did that pretty successfully.
So this has been done before, just not in Kalamazoo.
Just not in Kalamazoo. And one of the reasons I thought it was so critical, one, just on a personal level, I never want to be just the one white guy running for something. If there was, if the Kalamazoo Socialist Party had capacity to run a bunch of, radical, non-male, non-white people, I would have just backed their campaigns instead. We were just kind of the ones who were willing to step up and do it, because again, campaigning it's really rough work, and there are people who are part of the party who, I would say, I would have backed demographically, but they just are so busy working on their other projects and such. So I say that to get back around to this. The reason I wanted to do a slate, there's going to be 3 open seats for city commission in this election. And that's pretty unusual. And the mayor's spot is completely open too. So what I wanted to do...
his name? Hopewell?
Yeah, Hopewell's stepping down. So we've got
he will be
open
missed.
spot. Yeah. And maybe later we can kind of talk the nuts and bolts of the mayor's race too. But, so one of the thing with this slate is it's strategic, because what you're doing is you are tripling your canvassing power, your campaign power, by you're sharing each other's lit, you're sharing each other's data, which is really a necessity when you are going up against. We've got some stiff competition. Jake Andrews, he's chair of the County Democratic Party. Kind of funny thing with Jake, it's I used to work with him a lot more closely. 2016, 2017, when I was doing kind of like the Bernie Dim Enter stuff, and our paths diverged wildly. He's the chair of the Kalamazoo Democratic Party now, and I am the chair of the Kalamazoo Socialist Party. So
is he a centrist Democrat?
Well, I would say he's actually progressive, and he's got some really good transformative ideas. I don't see us as in direct competition with these campaigns. It's more like we're in competition against capitalism.
Well, I guess if you were comparing to any of the current 2020 Dem candidates, who would you compare them to?
If I were any of the 2020 Dems,
we'll get into those debates later, but.
Goodness, maybe like Cory Booker or. No, I mean he's not that bad.
I'm sorry, I particularly hate Booker.
But
I was expecting you to say something like Warren or Jaden.
Oh, you know what? Actually, he's probably closer to Warren. Now that I think about it, I was just trying to think of like somebody who's a man and not what. But no, no, I'd say his politics probably line up close. Again, he got involved in this, inspired by the Bernie movement, so he's probably somewhere in the scale between Warren and Bernie.
So yeah, you're in competition, but he's still good people.
He's good people, yeah. I wouldn't mind serving with him, or even Chris Pradell, Patrice Griffin. Patrice is the only one I'm actually telling people. It's like, yeah, I do plan to vote for her. My third vote is still kind of a toss-up, but she's been doing a lot of really good organizing for around housing and folks on the north and east side.
So there's 3 slots open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How many people, including you, are running?
8. It's crazy. Yeah.
Nice.
It's it's a little unusual. We usually don't have that many people running. Although I will, not to knock them, about 3 of them came out of the gate very recently, and they don't really seem to have much of a campaign infrastructure, so I'm not sure how viable they are necessarily. I will say, part of the reason for the slate, you need that kind of conjoined power, because when you get candidates coming out that have the power of the local Democratic Party behind them. This has been actually something I've been thinking about a lot. Jake came out and said his campaign knocked about 2,000 doors in 3 weeks, and Yeah, to be honest, like our campaign capacity in comparison is definitely lacking.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I guess aside from what we just talked about with like the team aspect, the Sonic Heroes aspect of your campaign, I just thought of that as a good example.
Yeah.
But yeah, what other parts of your campaign differentiates you from like the other campaigns?
Well, I say that the single largest thing is that I have a systemic analysis of these issues. All of them, no matter how good they are, and I'm thinking of like Jake and Patrice in particular, and Chris is good. I just don't know as much about him. All of they're offering reforms around the edges, and they're not calling out the specific problems or systemic roots of the problems that they are seeking to address. My analysis, on the other hand, again, I am explicit. I'm a Marxist socialist running for this office, and it breaks down too. And it's like how we see solving these problems. So, and this isn't to like quote unquote drag Patrice or anything, but I know like one of her projects is Vibrant Kalamazoo, which is part of the land bank, and again, she's been doing a lot of good work through that. But it's also, again, connected to the land bank, which is the most overtly capitalistic function, or led by the most capitalistic functionary of our local government. I'm also thinking in terms of Jake. He's running as a progressive Democrat, but he doesn't have the room to really call out capitalism the way that I do, the way that needs to happen in order for some of these transformative solutions to occur. I'm going to go back real quick to like my climate plank, just to illustrate it as an example. Some things are going to need to happen. Homes are going to need to become completely energy independent. Our city as a whole, we're going to have to be able to grow our own food. Multinational agricultural companies, consumers' energy, have a vested interest against those types of solutions, even though they are absolutely necessary if working people in the city are going to survive in the next few decades.
Oh yeah, we have a big reliance on them.
Yeah.
Remember this past winter when we had that wonderful cold streak there? And it caused some, I guess, pipe to burst at consumers in Detroit. Our dear governor had to go on and tell us to put down our thermostats like 60-some degrees for like one day.
Oh yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah, that sure was. Oh man, I was working the cold shelters that we set up around town,
dude, we'll get into that because I want to talk to you about that too.
Yeah.
But actually, let's get back to the candidates. All right, you already talked about yourself, Socialist Party.
Yeah.
Talk about Jake, I believe you said his name.
Yep, Jake
Democrats. How would you define the other candidates like politically?
Let's see, Benjamin. I don't know too much about him other than he showed up at a Socialist Party teach-in once and asked us how we're not Democrats, and a lot of leading questions that made me think he's probably a libertarian.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Or a centrist Dem himself trying to get you in.
Could be. Jeanne Hess, who I really don't know anything about. She doesn't have any material online. No, I think she did just start a Facebook page, but I don't really know a whole lot about her, honestly. Chris Pradell's been working in nonprofits for a long time. He has more significant following than I actually realized. He's very, very nice, very cordial. I do like his policies. I will say I think a lot of it is not much of a differentiation from the current status quo that we have. Although I will say overall, the biggest thing I'm excited about is all of the candidates who I think actually have a shot at winning this thing have coalesced around turning Kalamazoo from an at-large to a ward system for electing representatives. This would be a huge step in making sure people's voices and people are actually elect representatives from their neighborhoods. So what difference between at-large and a ward system is? At-large, it's just you live anywhere in the city, you run, you try to get the most votes from the totality of Kalamazoo's voting population.
Are there any candidates that are just hard right, MAGA wearing hats or anything?
No, that type of stuff just doesn't play in Kalamazoo. Like, I'd say the furthest right is someone who's like a corporate Democrat, Peter Kushner, I think is, or am I confusing him with the movie guy?
Jared Kushner?
No. But he's from like the Winchell neighborhood, and again, it's very like
his last name is Kushner. You said.
Yeah.
I'm about to say, is he pro or anti-marijuana?
I think he doesn't. Well, that's another thing that differentiates me from the other candidates is like I actually have a platform. And
damn it! I was just about to make a joke. Yeah. Kushner, marijuana.
Yeah, Pete Kushner. Yeah.
I try so hard to be funny.
Yeah. Yeah. This is some legitimate shade though. Like I've looked at the other candidates. They have a couple of points that they really want to get done, but we definitely have the most extensive platform of any campaign. Running right now.
Yeah.
So.
How's it been here in Kalamazoo in regards to marijuana? Like, are they still, are there, because I did hear about some people wanting to pass, measures not to allow recreational shops here, stuff like that.
So here's where I see it, and I almost feel like they're kicking the can down the road to see how this election pans out, which whoever wins, I think you're going to have a progressive supermajority. So it's almost like they're waiting. It's like a waiting period. Again, Kalamazoo, City Attorney Clyde Robinson has been overly cautious, I think, to a certain extent. Although I think the writing's on the wall. Kalamazoo is probably going to become a major hub for cannabis in the Southwest Michigan area. That's where I see things going. So my main priority is making sure that, and I'll tip my hat to the state of Michigan, they fixed some of their marijuana laws so that it's more possible for working class people to buy into it. This time, 6 months ago, you literally needed like about between 200 to 500 grand to even get a license. So that's changed now, and now there's even like a program for low-income people to kind of buy in and get involved. I want us to take the next step, though. I want to make sure that it is only going to be working class Kalamazoo residents who, more than likely were part of the former underground economy, being able to step up and take on these roles. That way, money stays in the community, and we can run these businesses in a cooperative way, where the people who really put the most risk into getting legalized marijuana are the ones who are profiting from it.
And probably the most work, too.
Yes.
It takes a lot to grow it yourself as opposed to like a big mega corporation that can just set up acres and fields of it.
Hell yeah. I don't want Monsanto Bayer or like Marlboro or any of those fuckers getting into my town. I'd even say like...
What about American Spirits?
Yeah, American Spirits. Well, I'd even say too, like there is a business out of Portage, Lake Effect, that's trying to get a dispensary and some land to grow here. And my only concern about that, it is technically a local business in Southwest Michigan, but it's predominantly run by upwardly mobile white people, not the people historically in Kalamazoo that basically deserve first dibs on this sort of business.
Well, to use one of the sayings, one of my favorite podcasts uses, Street Fight Radio, they're kind of like small business tyrants.
Yeah, that's true, and like I don't want to offend Lake Effect. I think they treat their workers rather well. It's more of just a systemic critique of just like it's the people from outside the city with money who are able to capitalize on this first, and that Portage isn't that far, but
nothing personal, bro.
Nothing personal, bro. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Another very fun question. I know you couldn't wait to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 4 months now. How has your campaign evolved?
How has it evolved? So. When we first started out, I think it was a lot more of, again, trying to take feedback from everybody about how the campaign should look, what issues we should follow. We've got, so that initial runway is done. We're in flight. Now, there was a huge schism, and I don't know, do you want me to talk about that now or later?
I guess right now would be a good time, but
It's
totally up to you, because kind of like way back when our first episode, I asked you about the whole landlord thing.
Yeah.
This was another thing I was wondering if you wanted to talk about.
I have a public statement about it on my Facebook page, and I will let those who are curious, maybe you can put a link to it down below or something.
Well, yeah, as usual, I always will link, your campaign page and all that great stuff on there.
And I don't want to detract from it. I'm sorry. It kind of detracts from the issues, but I will say real quick, just because we were talking about the slate earlier, the reason that no longer is a thing, beginning of July, around July 7th, Emily indicated to us that she wanted to run her own independent campaign entirely. Now there's some bad faith in there. Again, she pulled the trigger on that at a very late period in the election cycle, and it kind of became clear to me and Tristan she'd been building her own independent team for a minute without talking to us about it first. And what it basically boiled down to is she wants to run her campaign a certain way that is not so reliant on socialist politics and calling for workers' rights and stuff. She wants to run more of a. It's from what I've seen, it's more of a kind of progressive left campaign that you'd see. Now I could do some strategic critiquing about that, but bottom line, what it means is starting July 7th, we had to rewire this thing so that it was just me running, and Tristan, for her part, her only interest was running as a slate, so she stepped down and now is kind of taking on the role that she has now. My only, I feel like if we do end up not sticking the landing on this thing, that was a really bad and untimely disruption. I think it's part of the reason that we're having some issues with canvassing stuff now. Although I think that ties into some other stuff. A lot of my core canvassing team has fragmented in the last year, and a lot of our strongest base is made up of a lot of really socially awkward, punks and artists and misfits who literally here. And here's something that's amazing. We have 10 people on our campaign who volunteered to do art development, and just art development. Typically don't need that many art developers on a local campaign team, but so we recently gave them an ask, and I literally in 10 minutes I got 6 artists to dedicate a painting or a piece to the campaign. Some of them multiple ones, based on our platform points. So it's
do you have any openings to help set up the Spotify indie rock list?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So there's strength. We have some really dope ass support in the community. It's just I got to play to the community's strengths, and I think in the future, canvassing is important, not just in an election. The work that's going to follow when we're trying to. Get workers to unionize their workplaces, when we're trying to start a tenants union. That's going to require a hell of a lot of door knocking too. So
but how has your relationship been with Emily since this happened?
Well,
we're more so between your campaigns.
Yeah, we're just kind of focused on the bottom line, using the campaign to organize workers. We got to stick to that.
I guess the minute it happened, the split happened. Godsmack's smash hit, I Stand Alone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great thing. Is I really don't know. There's still, we have so much support in the community, and, as far as, me and Emily's campaigns go, she actually invited me to speak at one of her events. I don't know if, that's her mending fences or maybe having some buyer's remorse about this.
Oh, that's good. Still got that positive energy.
Yeah. I am transparent with people, though, I don't agree with what happened. It's not just sour grapes. We have this ideological difference on how we view movement politics, which, by the way, I am trained to teach from Michigan United. And that's stuff we were talking about at the beginning of the campaign. But her conception of movement politics, and this is what she told me, is I'm going to build a movement to get myself elected, and then I will vote the way the movement wants. That's not how movement politics works. That's not how it should work. You obviously you should have people behind you. You should work with others, but you should still maintain a sense of self in a way. Mm-hmm. This isn't the Matrix here. No, but yeah, that's really the fundamental difference. The priority to her became winning that seat, and to me, the priority is let's organize the working class. If that gets us to win a seat, that'd be dope as fuck. But we got to keep our eye on the ball. Because, I actually had a little bit of an existential moment, worried about whether I could actually win this thing or not. And I'm like, I'm going to let my community down. I represent the misfits, and I was supposed to prove that one of us weirdos could get up there. But then I went back and talked to people in my community, and, what they told me was like, we want you to organize the working class. You get up there, that would be really cool, but we appreciate what you're doing. That's what we want you to do. So,
well, there are 3 openings.
Yeah.
Imagine if both you and Emily were elected onto there.
I mean, it could. Yeah, that definitely could happen. I honestly don't think it's super likely. I won't go into the nuts and bolts about it right now. But
as far as I know, she hasn't made a statement about this, whereas you did. So.
Mm-hmm. I think she's trying to kind of pretend the slate never happened, which is problematic in its own way. But again, I don't want it to detract too much from. And really, the only thing I say with like viability is just I know how strong the Democratic Party's machine is in this town because I used to be part of it. So, the reason I have trepidation about saying like, oh yeah, we got this is because I know they've got like hundreds of old people and college students knocking on doors now.
So you're just a volunteer, or were you like registered?
What's that?
Were you just a volunteer, or did you register as one officially?
Well, back in the day, I was part of the Kalamazoo Democratic Party, and then I decided not to be an interest anymore because my politics got more radical.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, there's still some photos for me a few years ago, me going to their events and stuff. So I still have a lot of good connections with those people. Actually, and I won't out this person because I don't know how they feel with me dropping their name. But one of the funniest things, we tabled at the Black Arts Festival, and we had a couple conversations with like established local politicians and candidates, and like there's one in particular who they're part of the Democratic Party and they hold like a high office here in the town, but like they're like, man, I hope you win so bad, drag their asses to the left. And I'm like, okay. Probably can't get an official endorsement from that person, but it's good to know that kind of support exists,
Yeah. Let's call him something. George Soros.
George Soros. Yeah. I got that Soros money. What? No.
I honestly used to work with Soros. It's pretty good. But then the payments started coming late.
I know, man.
He just wouldn't respond, so I just said, fuck it. Now I'm working for the Koch brothers.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos gave me a better offer.
The Koch brothers don't pay as much as the Koch brothers, but at least I get paid on time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to pay my rent, damn it.
Yeah, that is a funny. The right-wing trolls. Here's the thing.
We'll get to that in my next question.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You see, this is a very structured podcast.
Yeah.
It's also a hashtag free speech zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless I don't like it, then I'll just manipulate it.
Yeah.
Defake it.
Yeah.
Okay, how has the public reception been to your campaign so far?
Really awesome. Good. Oh, man. And, it kind of goes back into the piece about, like, you're worried your campaign's too radical. And it's like, well, the working class people whose doors I've knocked on sure as fuck don't seem to think so. So there's that really, like, hardens my heart. But, something I'd really suggest anybody with these kind of radical politics who's thinking about making a local run, the reason my campaign is as viable as it is, it's not the platform or that we got flashy materials. It's that I've been putting in the work to do community organizing and to work with all sorts of groups all across town. I would say, like, and I have a deep history in Kalamazoo, lived here, 32 years, went to high school here, so I've got those deep community connections. If you're thinking of running in a mid-sized city like this with similar politics, my suggestion would be find somebody who's lived there their whole life and make sure that creating the conditions for a proletariat revolution ain't going to happen if you only organize on Left Book. That's something when I see a lot of people say, I'm really popular on Facebook, so I'll make a run. It's like, shit, dude, if you haven't been, like, volunteering down at, like, the local, like, food dispensary or with, like, local, like, solidarity groups. Like,
works for Vermin Supreme.
Yeah, there you go.
He just puts a fucking boot on his head and walks around. There you go.
Yeah, no, exactly, because I've worked with groups in this town that they don't align with me ideologically necessarily, but we do the work together. Like good example, and I will say this person's name because it's an all positive. Gwendolyn Hooker. She's an amazing organizer on the north side. I've helped her on several projects, just like literally doing door to door, passing out flyers and stuff. And she does amazing work for the community, justice against bullying in schools. She helps out Mothers of Hope. She veers a lot more into like kind of the centrist Democrat frame, I'd say. Like she was supporting George Franklin in the last election. He was like a lobbyist.
I guess to be really honest, when I think of like shit like that, centrist, corporatist, I think more like the big offices, federal and state.
Yeah,
when it comes to the local level, it's more like, what do you do?
I guess I'd really frame it as like I'm a little bit more skeptical of institutions than say.
I mean, like you just mentioned all this great stuff she does, but then I don't know. Did she vote Clinton?
Well, probably.
Yeah. So it's
I don't know that for a fact, but
I don't know. Let's speculate here. Just say it for the hell of it. It's like, okay, are you really going to take that away? All this other great stuff away from her.
But I say that because like I know I've met a lot of people who like that would be their line they would not cross. Oh, I'm not going to work with somebody who thinks lobbyists should be watched. And like fuck, dude. These are the people who are making a difference in the community. These are the people that you need to work with as an organizer. And
what have you done in comparison? I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Wait, me specifically?
No, not you. Yeah. I know.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm
kind of the proverbial you. Yeah, it's like, what have you done? And left book user.
You fool!
Yeah.
You thought you were on the Garret Schuelke podcast, but you're actually on the Nate Dugrog.
Oh no, not Nate.
We will get to that.
Is that the guy from Alaska who keeps talking about? I get them confused.
We'll get there.
All right.
But yeah. So. But what's it been like going door to door?
Oh, it's been great. It's my favorite part of doing this. It's my favorite part of campaigning. Just talking to people, And again, not to sound like a dead horse, or no, not to beat a dead horse. The reaction from people has been super positive. Way more than I expected. I'll add a little something here. So we thought one of our kind of predictions or strategic problems going into this was thinking it's like, well, I personally have a pretty, I'm well known in the Vine and Edison, but a concern like when I come to the east side and north side, with particularly north side predominantly black, am I just going to look like some white savior doofus coming in to be like, oh, hey, we should all organize? But the thing is, when I actually go there and knock on doors, it's the exact opposite. As soon as I start talking about organizing workers, it's like, oh man, yeah, we all have to unite. We all have to get together and fight back against the bosses and stuff.
You actually show some passion when you show up.
Yeah,
you're not like Steve Buscemi in that one SNL sketch. How's it going, cool kids?
Yeah, and it's like they give me passion back, and I will say that the majority of interactions you have canvassing, and this is just anything you do, it's gonna be like knock knock. Hey, I'm here. Here's my platform. Here's what I'm doing. I'm organizing working class. 9 times out of 10, the response is going to be like, "Oh, cool. I'll look into this. Thank you." Yeah.
Okay. At least you're going up and talking to them too. You're not going to be like the rando person who like puts a sign on a person's wall and then blocks.
Oh, hell no. You got to ask first. Yeah.
And you're not going to like robocall people.
No. No.
Even if you could afford it, you wouldn't do it.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Good.
Hell no. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Excuse me.
Yeah, but you said okay. This interests me earlier. You said you have met some MAGA people during your travels.
Yeah. Well, so I've actually only got 2 Kate in like face to face. The first one I'm not sure.
Let's hear these stories.
Yeah.
Dude.
The first one I wasn't sure. I can't say if it's a MAGA person or not, but it's somebody who, when they saw the systemic racism thing, they were like, huh? And I mentioned, this is also a neighbor. This is literally down the street from my house. So I mentioned
who will undoubtedly not be listening to this podcast.
Yeah. I mentioned like, I have like a BLM flag on my front porch, and it's like, well, all lives matter, don't they? And I got down that rabbit hole, and I use the metaphor. It's like, well, if like a house is on fire, you don't say all houses matter. She just did not get it.
But
so,
Mr. Argo, what will you do about white genocide?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Sometimes when I frame it like that, white people get it. They do. Or I tell my story of like what it was like to drive around in Kalamazoo, me driving as a white person versus my friend driving as a black person, like same exact circumstances. That way, some white people are ignorant about this stuff. Some of them will listen. Some of them are just a brick wall. And then earlier today, I had an interaction with somebody who was overtly pro-Trump. And it was an interesting conversation because I think I'm the first actual leftist he's ever talked to. So
in person, not online.
In person. And I got a lot of this when I was talking to conservatives. I remember J20, a lot of conversations like this where they're just generally like curious and a little bewildered. He's like, well, are you a Democrat or a Republican? I'm like, I just want to know if you lean to the left. And I'm like, well, I'm not part of either party, but I definitely would say I lean to the left. And he's like, well, I'm all about Donald Trump, and I gotta say, like, if you support him, you got my vote. And like, he's like, I'll look at your platform here, and like, he asked me about systemic racism, and I explained what redlining was to him, and how these are very specific people that got screwed up, or very specifically here in Kalamazoo.
Which Kalamazoo, I believe, was technically a sundown town back in the day.
It was, yeah. And you go back into the history of this, like there's a specific list of families that get disenfranchised because of redlining in Kalamazoo. And I explained it to this individual. I was like, didn't they fix this a long time ago? I'm like, no, not here. Like these people still have never gotten their grievances addressed. And he actually listened, which I thought was interesting.
He just didn't respond, well, why don't they just get over it?
Yeah. And then, I asked him if he thought workers should control their own workplace, and he literally said, well, I actually think we should just leave the rich people in charge. And this is somebody who's been listening to a lot of bootlicking propaganda, I'll tell you. I just said, well,
someday I might be rich. I want to reserve that space for myself.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I personally think the rich is what's gotten us into all these problems. And he talked about how, it's really the government, and I responded when he finished. It's like, well, but don't like all of the corporations own the government? And he paused and he was like, well, yeah, I guess so. And then at the very end of it though, he was like, well, thank you for talking to me, but I'm telling you, unless you got a bunch of if you got something on your campaign website saying you support President Trump, we're probably not going to vote for you. And I responded very honestly. I'm like, sir, I don't respect any American president, so I'm probably not going to get your vote.
Even Osama Obama Laden?
Oh, yeah, Osama bin Laden, who told us he was going to get us out of the wars. And
Barack Hussein Obama, you don't respect
Wall Street.
him?
And did neither of those things, but
you got my vote.
Yeah, sorry, I've been talking to voters all day. My voice is going out, I guess. But let's keep going though.
Oh shit! Wow, water.
Yeah, I got some in the backpack.
Well, we got some down here too. It's nice. Oh, there is. Oh, thank you, Zach Elmblad. Wait, you got smart water too?
Well, this is like knockoff smart water from the Walgreens.
Yeah, this podcast is brought to you by Drake Party Store, where I get my smart water $2 for $3 every time. Home of great CBD products and a wall full of pictures of people they busted for shoplifting.
Yep.
Okay, so that is the IRL interactions.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How's your online reception been?
Well, so I will state this. We've got the second largest social media following of any of the commission campaigns. So woo to that. Woo. And that's pretty strategic too, because we've been sinking a lot into social media ads because we get the young people to vote, then we've got this election.
Love those
cool kids.
Facebook ads.
They do. We're going to be starting up a meme page soon. I'm not sure exactly when.
Andy Argo's dank meme store.
Oh, it's going to be. I'm working with a DSA guy on it. I don't want to say too much about it, except the name we've settled on is the Kalamazoo Socialist Foundation for Excellent Memes. So look out for that. Something to compete with Planned Parenthood, because you guys got a decent meme page up there. In
oh yeah, Planned Parenthood is the shit. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, they know so much what they're doing is that they temporarily created a competing meme page that bashed themselves.
Oh yeah,
media geniuses.
Yeah. Oh man, they're splitting the international up there too. Oh no.
But okay, so yeah, where are you at? Like 600 some people right now on the page?
655 last I checked. And kudos to Chris Pradell. He really came out of nowhere. He's got almost 1,000, and I didn't know too much about him before he started running, but he's got a good following in Kalamazoo. Actually kind of bruised my ego a little bit, because I'm all like, oh, I know all the movers and shakers in Kalamazoo. I know all the grassroots organizers and nonprofit people, and then Chris announced his campaign. I'm like, I'm not sure who this guy is. Is he really viable? And then, 3 months later, he's got, almost 1,000 supporters. I guess so.
All right, and you know what I want to hear. Let's talk about some of the negative interactions online, most of which involve them. Let's see. You want to bring gulags to Kalamazoo. You want to turn this into Venezuela somehow.
Venezuela, yeah, of course. That's a big one.
And I did particularly mention one guy by name, Nate.
Yeah.
He claims that you are quote unquote liberal ass kisser.
Liberal ass kisser. Whose ass am I kissing?
Who just wants to get a bunch of clout.
Yeah, I'm kissing the workers' asses, I guess. In that
yeah, so, I will say too, I follow your page and I have commented. I have thought about it, and I have basically contained myself when it comes to commenting, because I could go more all out. But I realize that you're running a campaign here, and if I just went all around saying, ready for the gulag, bro, it wouldn't happen.
This stuff has to happen in steps.
I remember the post you made when you announced it. You did get one individual from Detroit who basically said, sad day when, socialists have to run there, blah, blah, destroy everything.
Yeah, I will say, the American reactionaries are really lucky that the American left is nothing like the left you'd find in Europe or in the global South, where, it's like we have debates about whether or not we should have Medicare for all. Leftists in Europe and the global South, their debate is should we send billionaires to the gulag or just execute them outright? I don't know.
Which type of bottle should I use with this firebomb I'm going to throw at cops later?
It's very real. German workers are pushing for 25-hour work week with a lot of success. The yellow vest movement in France, which you could critique certain elements of it for having a reactionary character, but when those fuckers want a wage increase, they or an end to neoliberal posterity, they fucking get shit done.
Well, one of my favorite videos out of that movement is they showed this French dude. He was apparently so enraged at a cop. He was on an elevated street with no fence, whatever. He just climbed over the fence like Spider-Man style. Climbed over, he did a flip on there, and he just punched that cop. Anyway, that's another reason why I tempered myself, because on that very one, I put something I love Andy, I would vote for him, but I would only truly support him if he promises to bring about our Lord and Savior Bernie Sanders plan to bring gulags over the country. Which, by the way, I am not tanky, but But I do put in a lot of tanky humor into my comments, because it scares these right-wingers to death. Every time you make a gulag or stand you up against the wall, they freak the fuck out. Never fails.
Well, the easy out is to listen to your pal Andy and stand in solidarity with your fellow workers instead of being an asshole.
Negative trolling aside, it still has been positive online as an IRL.
Yeah, and the funny thing about trolls too is Troll 2 is very funny, by the way.
Oh, I saw that in theaters a couple months ago at the Wealthy Theater in Grand Rapids, Hollow.
So billionaires, this is going to be a meme someday. It's going to be that kid from Troll 2 watching the trolls eat.
Oh my God!
They're eating him, and now they're going to eat me. Oh my God! And that'll be like, I don't know, we'll say like the Bills and upstairs Jeff Bezos getting eaten by the trolls or something. Anyway, weird tangent. So the funny thing about
it could also be an eco-socialist because they have to turn them into plants to eat.
That's right. Yeah. So the interesting thing about the trolls is I was actually expecting a hell of a lot more of them. You know, whenever you are an overt and outspoken socialist running for public office, it's like catnip to these people. But most of them have been like, there's only like one person I can think of that actually lives in Kalamazoo. The rest of them have been either like in one of the rural areas outside the city or like fucking weird ass places. There's this one guy from Alaska who just won't leave us the fuck alone, even though like we tried to school him several times.
I've seen that on the Kalamazoo Socialist page.
Yeah, it's like, what do these people do with their lives? They just cruise around different socialist pages, being like, who can I say stupid shit to today?
Isn't he the same guy who was worried about the Zionist media?
No, that was different. I think that was just. I think that was a guy with, at least somewhere in our spectrum of politics. But I was just like, dude, you can't. That's a dog whistle. Like there's other ways to say that.
It got to the point, like, okay, dude, you really are being anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh shit, what was I gonna say? We were. So the trolls. So yeah, I think it's interesting how like there's like locally there hasn't been much pushback to our politics. It's been a lot more accepted than I thought it would be. And, you know, part of it, too, is trying to really bring these terms back to basics for people. The original definition of socialism is the idea that workers should have democratic control over their workplace and communities. You don't find that in Merriam-Webster, and you certainly don't find it in any of the reactionary fucking capitalist propaganda that has been shoved down America's throats for the last 50 years. Even the definition of communism is a moneyless, classless, stateless society. And now, honestly, the only reason I don't call myself a communist in day-to-day interactions is because we're not there yet. Workers need to control their fucking lives first before we get some utopian shit. But yeah, again, like those are messy terms that people have mischaracterized, and
I'll tell you how you can really win. Mm-hmm. Forget the socialist label. Cultural Marxist.
Cultural Marxist. Yeah.
That's how you run.
I'll start getting some retweets or attention from Jordan Peterson and all them.
Kalamazoo, Michigan. White genocide forever.
Forever. Yeah.
All right. So, okay, I guess it's been a long time since I've looked into, like, any city commission elections, so I've kind of forgotten how a lot of it runs. So forgive me on this question, but what is the current? Is there like any current polling that's telling you like the position of the candidates, including yourself?
Oh man, I wish there was. There's really polling companies don't usually do municipal elections unless somebody pays for it. The city's not going to do it. So. Unless somebody with a lot of money, like maybe David Anderson, wanted a poll put out, he would probably only include the mayoral candidates, though. Unless somebody like that puts out a call or an ask for it to one of these polling companies that does this work, we're probably not going to see anything like that before the election, which, again, it's kind of hard to tell. There's no real easy crystal ball to this stuff like we have with a national election, where you at least have some polling to get an idea of where people are at. What we've basically got to rely on are metrics. We're like, how many doors have we knocked? What kind of local support are we getting on social media? How much is our stuff getting shared? Just generally going in and just talking, chit-chatting with people at various like coffee houses, bars and stuff. Have you heard of the campaign yet? If they say, I heard about you, then that means we're doing a good job. But, it's not something you can quantify, unfortunately.
All right. Final one with the campaign question. It's a great what-if question.
What if? Ooh,
yep. Now, I'm your friend. I love you. I believe in you. If I lived in Kalamazoo, I would vote for you.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm hoping this podcast will help you because Bernie Sanders was recently on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much ensures his win now.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, if he smoked a joint like Elon Musk did, then Donald Trump literally would have dropped out. But let's just say you don't win any of the 3 seats. Where do you see yourself going from there?
Well, honestly, that's the beauty of the campaign, is because our whole goal with it is to, basically get all this canvassing data. We like to say we're building so the Democratic Party used something called a VAN system, a voter activation network. We're building a WAN system, a workers activation network. And this ties a lot into the whole movement politics theory. You use an election to build up and strengthen a movement, which, you can use. Again, we're going to be in a great starting place for some of our future projects. When we're talking about organizing tenants or educating workers on how they can organize, all of this data that we've been getting from knocking on doors is going to be invaluable in targeting the people we need to target. And also when we want to start doing, we've done a lot of teach-ins. I want to start doing teach-ins monthly in different locations throughout the city. Now that we actually have a presence and a reputation in a neighborhood like the East Side, it'll be a lot easier to organize an event there and actually get a draw. I'd also say, in the context specifically of elections, what you use with this data is to figure out where are your weak points, what you need to cover, and then you have a base of support for the next subsequent election. So if I or somebody else from the Kalamazoo Socialist Party decide to run in 2021, they would be immediately jumping off from a far stronger position than we did when we started this campaign. And also, there's a couple things on the tea leaves. If whoever gets elected, if they do really push the ward system, we could be looking at a 2021-2023 election where neighborhoods are voting for their specific representatives. And again, the Vine having the character that it is, I think it'd be much easier to get an actual radical leftist socialist or anarchist elected.
So basically, you won't be able to get a citywide gulag, just one specifically in the Vine.
Yeah. Fascists do not cross. Do that.
Actually, please do cross into this gulag.
Yeah.
Please stand against this wall.
So, I mean, I've actually been thinking about how, our election night party, I think we're going to call it the Kalamazoo Socialist Victory Party, because regardless whether or not we get a seat, it's a win. It is a super win, because we will have knocked on thousands of doors, talked to thousands of workers, and we are going to be able to start mobilizing and building a movement right out of the gate. And that's what I'm probably most excited about, beyond even getting commission seat. Because honestly, hey, let's be clear about this. I like campaigning. Being a city commissioner is hard as shit. It is going to be a lot of hard work, and especially me going in as the leftmost flank of this commission, it's going to be a lot of hair pulling and stress-inducing moments that I'm fully prepared to deal with as a representative of the working class. But honestly, election night, if I don't make it, there's going to be part of me going oh, shoot. Yeah. Dodged that very intense bullet there, but excuse me. Yeah.
Hydrate, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Hydrate. Yeah.
But honestly, I know, honestly, you were concentrating on your campaign, but you have taken time out of your busy schedule to take part in other actions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, true. You recently took part in one in Detroit.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And you just want to explain what happened, because I have the name written down, but I know I can't pronounce it, so please go for it.
So Movimiento Cosecha organized a couple of direct actions in Detroit that day to coincide with the second nights of the presidential debates.
In Detroit.
So me and a group of about 20 other people blockaded, it's a street on Jefferson that leads to Canada. So it's an international border crossing.
Yeah, I believe, I was there. I was actually in Windsor, I think, a week before this happened. So this was the Windsor Tunnel. Yeah.
And I will say, just the overall message was, our human rights, this be of undocumented people and immigrants, our rights are not a political talking point. It is not up for debate. Our human rights are our human rights. And, that was kind of the message of that action. And then you had another one of our comrades disrupt the debates from the inside.
I did hear some of that because I did go on to CNN's website and I watched the streams of those fucking debates.
But one of our people disrupted Joe Biden, shouted 3 million deportations, and I think it's really, that is the power of these kind of strategic actions to help shift the narrative. I've met some, leftists, communists, tankies, etc., who poo-poo nonviolent direct action, but when you use it strategically, you can really shake the walls of power. For the next 10 minutes of that debate, everybody else on that stage was shitting on Joe Biden and the immigration record under Obama, which it's been kind of like, you're not supposed to criticize Obama. That's been like
the corner-in-chief.
Yeah.
Or it's used as a right-wing talk point. Well, Obama did this, so we should totally be able to do this.
Yeah, and Cory Booker, for my other problems with him, I will give him this credit. He seized the moment eloquently. He was like, Joe Biden, you've invoked Obama's presidency more than any of us up here. You have to take the good with the bad. And it's his immigration record was bad. It literally only looks good in comparison to our current president because he's a fucking white supremacist. But Obama got the infrastructure put in place for these fucking camps. Y'all shouldn't forget that.
Yes. So what was the result of this action?
So the results of it, besides the debate stage, but the actual,
because you were right out there, you weren't the one interrupting.
Yeah,
it would have been awesome if that was you.
Well, no, I think it needs to be for actions like that, somebody who's actually a part of the affected, marginalized population.
I'm basing that on the second time you and I saw Bernie Sanders speak in Grand Rapids.
Oh yeah,
and you were like, hey, watch this.
I'm going to disrupt. Yeah.
Mr. Sanders, how do you do that?
Yeah. No, Mr. Sanders.
How could you align yourself with Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, well, no, it was about specifically that was about the election fraud that happened in that election, and then we all found out, we all got proven right, the election was rigged. We told you.
It was very disheartening, but you, I, and I believe her name was Emily.
Yep.
We did have a fun time getting hammered at the apartment afterwards.
Yeah, we sure did.
The historical gay bar in Grand Rapids. Just because I guess it was 80s, 90s video nights.
No better way after calling out our broken political system to go listen to 90s music videos and get drunk.
Seals Kissed by a Rose. Holy shit. They did this on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the results of the action of that day, arrests.
Yeah, we got arrested, and I will say this, we were prepared to be in there through the whole weekend, because we weren't sure what level of repression we'd get. I mean, this is a border crossing. There's actually, when I was doing the sit-in, singing our protest chant, I literally saw CBD pull up across the street. The Detroit police decided to handle it.
Wait, CBD?
Customs and Border Patrol.
Oh, the wrong CBD.
CBP. Sorry.
Oh,
got my acronyms mixed up.
Brother, back in the day when I worked for the Western Herald, we were doing a story on the pollution in the Kalamazoo River.
Yeah.
We were talking about PCBs. I accidentally said, we got to look into these PCP in the Kalamazoo River.
That'd be a hell of a swim. Oh, man.
My editor, excuse me, Mr. Schuelke, what did you say? PC? Oh,
man. Yeah, so
the wrong CBD, pretty much.
Well, so what actually happened was we got arrested, taken down to Wayne County Jail, and they just gave us all citations. We've got misdemeanors. We need to reappear in court, but that could have gone a lot worse. We realized our attorney kind of told us the reason for that. Wayne County was way understaffed, and the Detroit police's resources were so stretched thin because of the debates that they literally did not have enough booking papers for us at the county jail. So they thought it would be way easier just give them fucking tickets and let them go.
I was about to say, so you got to reappear in court soon.
I do, yeah. I actually...
Wouldn't that be a great reason for you to miss a city commission meeting if you're like...
Yeah.
Gotta go to court. Commissioner Argo had to go to Detroit.
Yeah, so we got a civil disobedience arrest.
Yeah.
Get that Misty off his record.
Yeah, when you were there any ICE agents at this protest?
None that I saw. Because, there is always a fear of that when you're doing an outside demonstration with people who are, either undocumented or represent that population.
And have you had interaction with ICE people around here in Kalamazoo? I just realized I said ICE people.
ICE people.
I mean, I'm calling them people, so...
Well, hey, fascists are human beings, and that's very important to remember, because that means they can be killed.
Good one, Comrade Argo.
Yeah. So, allow me to break the ice.
Have you had interaction with ICE activity here in Kalamazoo?
Only through in my work with like local Cosecha, and not like direct interaction with an ICE agent. It's been more of like kind of stepping up when I'm asked for protests and demonstrations, doing a little bit of rapid response work, which we're trying to set up with basically is like a neighborhood watch to make sure ICE isn't in the neighborhood. We have had success in driving them out of town. I remember a couple years ago. This was right in 2017 after Trump got in. There were some ICE agents harassing people at the Town and Country grocery store, and people were able to mobilize really quickly. Basically, just like yell at them, like "Get the fuck out of Kalamazoo!" And like we were posted up all over the neighborhood after that. And they still come in here to do individual arrests, but they don't do raids. And I think a big part of it is because they understand. The Kalamazoo community will stir up a whole bunch of shit.
Well, especially now, because it's always boiling hot, but now lately it's been going over. With the bigger raids and William Vance Bronson, Rest in Power, Buck Ice.
Yeah.
And,
by the way, just for clarity, I was not advocating, don't physically harm an ICE agent. If you can, radicalize them and turn them into a Marxist. If not, sabotage them at every move because they're trying to kidnap our fucking neighbors. So
specifically children.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And even recently, the man who was deported to Iraq and died there, now he's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a city commissioner, what would you do about ICE in Kalamazoo?
Oh, well, our biggest problem, because we actually do have, it's on the books, we have a policy that we are not supposed to cooperate with ICE as a city. Kudos to the current commission for doing that. And we've seen that actually put into practice. We didn't accept ICE money a few months ago. But the big problem is, how do you actually hold the police force accountable to not cooperating with ICE? Because, I don't think I'm going to be shocking anyone when I say the majority of Kalamazoo public safety is sympathetic towards ICE and their goals. So we've got to make sure, how is that, because ostensibly on paper the city commission is supposed to have authority over the Kalamazoo public safety. So the big problem is, how do you hold them directly accountable to make sure that none of their officers are cooperating with immigration and customs enforcement? We don't have the capacity to do that now because our current police oversight board is pretty much toothless. So you need to build a board in there made up of people from the immigrant community who can advise and know their shit, and a police department that is not going to, well, they're going to push back, but, basically have the public pressure to counteract that and be like, no, y'all, look, this is city policy. You fall under the rubric of the city policy. You need to enforce it. And I also think at a grassroots level, everybody get involved with rapid response. You can find their information. Movimiento Cosecha Kalamazoo has a presence online, both on Facebook, and I think you can get to them through Cosecha's national page. Yep. But that's the biggest thing I could tell people to do now. Get involved in rapid response. It's just building up in Kalamazoo now. Again, we need a robust neighborhood watch to make sure that our neighbors ain't getting kidnapped by the government. Just think more right-wingers would get on board with, because apparently if the government's kidnapping brown people, it's not their problem.
No, it's cool now.
Yeah, exactly. You remember just a few years ago, like, the government's building camps. They were all freaking out about it. Now that the government actually is building camps, they're like, oh, it's kind of, we shouldn't have broke the law, but
it's kind of like the same people who think that they'll be the boss one day.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't like them. I could be the one rounding these people up. I could be defending America.
Yeah, well, I love that Futurama meme. Like, why are you clapping, Fry? You're not rich. And he's like, yeah, but someday I might be, and then people like me better watch their step.
Exactly. Perfect. All right. Yeah. Well, we talked plenty of your campaign, but you know what? You're being very selfish here. Let's talk about something different, Andy Argo.
Oh, right. Let's do it.
It's not all just about you. Granted, I invite you on here. All right, my friend, let's get into national politics.
Oh, boy. All right.
Have you watched the Dem debates in July and June?
Yeah, parts of the first one, a good chunk of the second one.
I guess based on, I don't know. I don't know how you want to do this. Like, you want it based down on by month or as a whole? How do you view that?
I'll just break it down as a whole. Warren and Bernie demolished the resident centrists of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that was an epic team up. That's like Superman, Batman level.
Yeah,
Goku, Vegeta teaming up to fight Kid Buu.
Even as a Marxist socialist, I had a little bit of a grin on my face watching that. Just it's like, well, Medicare for all won't do all that. Yes, it will. I wrote the damn bill. You stupid piece of shit.
And of course, Warren, I don't get why we have Dems on here just say what we can't do as opposed to what we can do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you got to rally some big fucking ideas to just the whole thing that followed with Joe Biden. It's like trying the exact same thing again and expecting a different result. And God, if he becomes the nominee, we're fucked. We are. Because honestly, I think there are a lot of them that could potentially beat Donald Trump in a very close election, but Joe's the one who I would say would definitely lose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, also, he has an impeccable way of fucking up, like, his final moments in the debate.
Yeah!
Very first one, what would you do your first day of the presidency? Defeat Donald Trump.
You're senile or just stupid.
And the second one, and I hate this with all the candidates, the second one, they did their final spiel, but then included their websites, like, okay, we get it. You don't have to advertise yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, visit Joe Biden 303881.
Is he trying to hedge in on Deltron's territory?
Exactly. It's the future we really don't want. Yeah. Joe Biden 3030.
Just Joe Biden's brain in a robot being whimsically racist.
Oh, did you see the latest one on his voice clip?
Well, he's like equating poor people with like poor black people or some shit.
Poor people can make it as the same level as white people. I mean,
no.
It's like,
it's bad.
But let's see. The second one I hated because CNN ran it. Yeah. And CNN, well, the first one I was in London, England. Yeah. And England is 5 hours ahead of us. Yeah. So whereas here it started at 8 o'clock, it started at 2 in the morning in London.
Yeah. But you have to be up pretty late to watch that one.
I know. So I streamed them on YouTube, and it was like, and everything. I get into this in another podcast, probably with Zach next month. Yeah. But London shuts down pretty hard at midnight. Yeah. Which really surprised me. So I was like, shit, I got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
But the second one, hated that because couldn't watch it on YouTube. Yeah. Even if you found someone who was like live streaming and doing like live reactions, as cringy as that could be, CNN just immediately filed a copyright claim and shut it down.
Goddamn. It's important, man. Like, stuff needs to get out of the people.
I know. So I had to go to their shitty fucking website and then watch them throw right-wing talking points at everyone. Yeah. Or like, hey, Bernie said this. Why don't you like it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta keep in mind, like, they're not doing that as journalists. They're doing it. It's like an entertainment piece. They want to pit people against the like WWE style.
CNN does that. They even had like Facing Off.
Yeah.
One of my favorite websites back in the day was called Stuff Black People Hate. Yeah. It was run by a guy who described himself as half African American, half Indian. Yeah. He had an entry about CNN. Yeah. He called it the Michael Bay of news networks. He has some pictures back when like they started doing like holograms and shit.
Oh man.
Under the caption, "Look at this fucking stupid bullshit."
Yeah. No, really. Oh, man.
That was the same debate. You know, they might as well just had explosions after every voice.
You know, I will say the thing I like most about the second debate, you know, besides my colleague's interruption.
Oh, there was many on both June and July. There was many great moments that made me LOL.
So I thought what was great about the second debate, the most recent debate, was it really, the candidates all showed each other throwing stones from glass houses. Because you had Kamala's digging into,
Biden.
Calling out Biden's record.
She absolutely demolished.
Biden and Booker are calling out each other's records. And then all of a sudden, you know, Tulsi Gabbard chimes in like, "Oh, by the way, Kamala Harris is a cop." The
second debate, it's like, the class traitor versus the war criminal.
Oh,
here we go.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, I got in a little bit of trouble. I have a friend who she really likes Kamala Harris, and the thing is, her record is. I think if you want to be super fair about it, her record is a little bit more of a mixed bag, but there's some shit that happened under her watch, like, you know, fucking the prison, the prison pipeline for profit that she directly, was watched over and allowed to happen. You know, you can't just excuse that shit. And I will say, to an extent, if any of y'all listening, you're like, you stand Bernie or Warren or Yang, you're on the Yang train.
I will say this. I do still like Bernie.
Yeah.
I have more love for him than you do now. I will say that. I do like Warren. She does make me cringe with her, like, I'm a capitalist, but... So, as I see her, she's kind of like slowly entering more to the light side.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot in my heart for Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
He has no chance, and a lot of his stuff with UBI I disagree with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he's right about automation and UBI.
Yeah, that's true.
I see him more as like a John the Baptist character.
Yeah.
Like he's foretelling someone that will come in the future to really implement UBI.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I think like it's just important, the superstructure here, I'm talking as a socialist Marxist, broke, Kamala Harris is a cop, woke, all of the candidates are cops for capitalism. So, and yes, that includes Bernard. I will say this much, he wants, I think his movement background is genuine. That's something we've never really seen from a president, even FDR. The programs he instituted were basically, his dialogues and negotiations with the capitalists. They were just like, hey guys, I love capitalism. If y'all don't throw the workers a bone, you see what just happened in Russia. Oh man,
kind of like how you're campaigning now. I'm pretty much the only candidate unless you want these guillotines.
Except I'm an actual socialist. FDR wasn't that. I'm like negotiating from the outside. I'm like, hey, capitalists, I'm just telling you, if you don't agree to this shit now, shit's gonna get real bad. That's
FDR political position close enough.
Yeah.
But so let's see. Favorite parts of the debates. Is there anything that like made you laugh at least?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think like what I just talked about definitely. I think I went over the big flashy moments. Bernard yelling at that poor young centrist about his Medicaid bill.
Wait, was that Tim Ryan?
I think so.
Ryan, that's the thing I want to bring up too was that Tim Ryan then said, there's no need to yell.
Yeah.
Which he did promptly yell though.
Yeah.
But okay, but both Kamala Harris and Tim Ryan basically went off with merchandise afterwards.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Kamala seceded because she did the whole "I was that girl" and had a picture of her when she was that. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Excellent marketing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying this as an anti-capitalist,
Oh yeah,
good job.
Good. Yeah.
Tim Ryan did try to do something similar. But what did he put out? Tim Ryan 2020. There's no need to yell.
Civility, everyone.
He fucking failed.
If we just had civility, the Nazis wouldn't be coming back, and we wouldn't be in an apocalyptic climate crisis. Better manners, everyone.
And of course, since I'm completely Yang gang, as you can tell, I do like how Andrew Yang did get more time to talk in the second one. Yeah. He claimed in the first one that his mic was cut off, which I believe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And of course, our goddess, #Orb Queen, Marianne Williamson, backed him up on that.
Yeah, I will say to Orb Queen's credit, because I know she's become kind of a meme candidate. She actually made some really good points in her most recent debate about.
She actually does. There's a lot of stuff that we're thinking, but we know it's not politically viable. Yeah, like she's right. There isn't a lot of love in this country. She really is. Mm-hmm. I'm saying that sincerely. You know what I mean? Especially with the recent shootings that we had. But you can't run on a campaign saying, I'm going to implement more love if elected.
No, you can't. Like, the thing is, like, those kind of connections need to be remade from the bottom up because it's the systemic rot of neoliberal capitalism. It's pushed individualism to such a degree that everyone is completely disconnected from their communities. And it's like, I could go into a whole, like, analysis of, like, why white supremacist mass shootings are happening as a result of, like, capitalist alienation. Maybe that's for a future podcast. But, it really does, like Marianne says, it goes down to the root that, like, we don't feel connected with each other anymore. And we all have learned to, like, fucking hate the other, instead of actually having a dialogue with other people.
The problem is that that's all she says. It's about love. It's like, okay, but how are you going to implement that?
It's like,
then you realize that then if you look back, she's shill for various religions and health foods and that.
And
it's like,
she's got her own corporate skeletons too,
Well, I mean, whenever she says something like that, another Dragon Ball Z reference, I imagine Goku with the Spirit Bomb, but it's her with the orb and just throws it down onto America. So Orb Queen, Yang, Williamson 2020, that's me.
There you go. Yeah. That's a hell of a ticket right there. Oh, man.
Alright, so we did that. You just want to get off politics for a sec? I mean, it's not like you're devoting your life to this till like November, so
no,
it's not. This stuff is important.
The constant struggle of the proletariat. I'll let you know.
Politics are lame. Let's talk about another thing I want to talk about. As I mentioned before in this podcast, I returned earlier in July from my grand trip to London, England. Probably the greatest trip I've ever been on. And I'll detail that later because I got you on here. And we should talk about you. All about you. But you sir.
It's all about me, guys. You have to pay the big bucks to get me on this program.
You know what? You already have your one radio show. How about you have a podcast too? the Andy Argo Experience.
It's the whole thing about like communism will take over everything. It's like you're right. I'm just gonna replace all corporate media. It's just gonna be me. It's just
they're unlike other elections. There's no like negative ads or anything against other candidates, is there?
No, it's pretty cordial up in Kalamazoo.
Okay. And, 'cause I was wondering like what would happen like there's like some anti-Andy Argo ones.
I'm surprised there's not more.
It'll like dig into your past. It'll show like your love of Electric Six. He likes this group who has their hit song "Gay Ball."
It's still pretty early. None of the other candidates have run TV ads yet. I wouldn't be surprised if just like there's some probably a troll funded group is just like citizens against Andy Argo and socialism. This ad has been paid for.
They bring up a video of you performing as Sista, Mista.
And
it happens to be like the one video that I put up of like your last your last performance. But then I sue them for copyright.
Listen to this cross-dresser's lyrics about how we should eat the rich and how cops are
Do you want a candidate who hates McDonald's and only wants to watch Netflix all night? He does. Andy Argo. He
says he's part of the working class.
He doesn't like who.
He just wants to Netflix all night.
Okay, so Yeah, back in, I believe it was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
You, sir, went on a grand European adventure.
I did indeed. Yeah.
Yep. So, you want to get into that? Because we mentioned it on other podcasts, but I really want to dig into it.
Yeah? Okay. I'm trying to think of some of the best stories now.
Well, let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like all my podcasts, we just start at the beginning.
All right.
As it should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you want to go to Europe?
Oh, dude, it's just a long-term life goal of mine. Like, I want to backpack around Europe for a couple months, and there was always a lot of setbacks. I had to like kind of help out my family for a while there, and like just But I finally worked up all the money. I got it set. I was ready to go. I'm just gonna go backpack around Europe for 3 months.
Well, if I remember right, I'll just let you say it. How much money did you bring with you to this trip?
Approximately $3,000, a little over that.
Wait, what? Oh shit! You got way more than I thought I remembered.
Well, $3,000 over 3 months is a lot. Not a lot.
Well, no.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this obviously when you came back. We had a welcome back party.
Yeah.
I thought you said you only bought $400 with you.
No. That was no, it's $3,000, and my idea was like $1,000 a month, and
I totally misunderstood.
Oh
that
yeah,
then.
But
with the way I travel on my week-long trips, I bring like $1,000 with me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how the fuck did he survive for an entire summer in Europe on $400?
Well, what did end up happening is I ran out of money around the early during the third month. I ran out of money effectively.
We'll get to that. But how did you go about preparing for this trip?
Well, again, I just brought the bare essentials, literally everything that would fit in one backpack, and like clothes, two backpacks, and just brought basic clothes, just undershirts and like one long sleeve one. Just brought all of the bare necessity. I would recommend anybody, if you're going to do something like I did, buy your camping gear while you're still in the United States or while you're in Britain, because you can get really cheap camping gear in the U.S. If you try to get it somewhere in Eastern Europe, like Poland, I had to spend a lot more on camping gear than I would have if I were in the United States. And you'd think because the dollar's stronger in these certain places, it'd be the other way around, but we have mass production capability in the United States. It's much different there. Like over there, it would be like $500 for like a Nintendo, whereas here it's like $200 just because they mass produce them for us.
Yeah, here you can breathe in the sweet air of freedom at your local Walmart.
Always low prices. Always.
All right.
So I hate saying that. Like, work class. If you're going to work class and go travel around Europe, that's what you need to do.
Yeah, so did you, like, have a travel plan in place, like, or was it more spontaneous?
It was more spontaneous. I basically, my first week while I was in Wales, I kind of planned out my trip.
Okay, so, like, I guess, like let's list some. Like, where did you go? Like,
all right, London, Wales, and then from there I went to Paris, Prague in the Czech Republic. Went to Krakow in Poland. I went to Bucharest in Romania. I went to Copenhagen up in Denmark. I went to Gothenburg, Sweden. I went up to Norway. I went to a very small village in Norway called it's not called it's I'm forgetting the name.
Nordic Land.
Nordic Land, yeah.
Which, by the way, when I was in London, two people asked me twice where I was from. I said United States. Mm-hmm. Both of them said, "Oh, we thought you were Nordic."
Oh, it's well, we're all a big sloppy mess of a whole bunch of stuff.
Everyone in Norway sounds like me.
Yeah.
And that means everyone sounds like they have Down syndrome.
Yep. Oh, no. Oh, God. I just lost the Norwegian vote. Thanks a lot. No. That's all right. They can take those folks can take a joke, I'm sure. Yeah.
No. Oh, you think that's bad? Imagine how many Norwegian listeners I've lost.
Oh, yeah.
What about me?
I went to Budapest for about a week and a half.
By the way, did you see our former guest and mutual friend Chartan Code while you were there?
Unfortunately, no. There's a misconnection. We were in the same city for like a day, and we just...
Because that's where he mostly travels or lives and travels is Eastern Europe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. spent a few days in Rome, and then a couple days in Brighton, in the UK, and then New York City for a couple days on the way there and on the way back. So, yeah.
Yeah, so what did you do besides just like go around and try not to be an ugly American and enjoy the scene?
Oh, well, at the time I was hawking my album a whole lot, which led to a lot
That's another thing. You bought the Bare Essentials plus your Sista Mista
gear, yeah. So the very first part of my trip in New York City is one of my favorite stories. I'm busking in Washington Square Park, full Sista Mista get up. I have my backing tracks playing on a boombox. I do like the full album. And this one guy, this older guy who's very super Brooklyn, he had some questions for me. He's like, so are you one of the art students from the local NYUs? And I'm like, no.
Very Italian.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Italian from the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Something like that, yeah. Just like very stereotypical Brooklyn accent.
Hey.
And I was like, no, actually, I'm on a trip. I'm from Michigan. He's like, Michigan? He's like, what part of Michigan? I'm like, Kalamazoo, Michigan. And then he's like, no. You see, all the weird artsy people are supposed to live here in New York. All the normal people live in the Midwest. And I was like, sir, I assure you.
We got the Andy Warhols and the Greenwich Village and
it's like, sure,
and the spaghetti and the meatballs.
Yeah, I assure you, there are plenty of weird people in the Midwest. And he just started walking away. He's like, Kalamazoo, Michigan. I gotta go tell my wife. Oh, man.
Aye.
So, yeah, just if you're from the East Coast or the West Coast, yeah, there's a hell of a lot of weirdos in the Midwest.
Really you also did in England, too, right?
Yeah, England.
And you told me this one, how you came across a neo-Nazi that just loved your ass.
It's kind of relevant to the weird political climate we're in today, honestly, because, like, I could see a current, like, alt-right or proto-fascist being into, like, Public Enemy or Rage Against the Machine or some shit.
I will say this. Since Trump got elected, it has taught me how fucking weird the right can be.
Oh, yeah.
Especially the alt-right. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. But is this guy who, I was talking to him about my album. Keep in mind, Sista Mista, a gender-fluid political rap group that is anti-capitalist and pro, like, gay LGBT rights.
And British and a Time Lord.
Yes, and a Time Lord, yep. There's a little bit of science fiction in there. And this guy was like, oh, I totally love that. That's great. That's brilliant. You know, I love Public Enemy, too. They're one of my favorites. And, you know... And then,
what do you think of the Jews?
Yeah, it's like, he invited me to his house and he asked, are you Jewish? And I'm like, no. I mean, I've got a pretty big nose, but you know, that's not. So I was wondering if like he's being weird about that, you know. Like, and then he's like, well, it's just just think the global banking conspiracy is bad, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean that's all capitalists, isn't it? And
no, it's just the Rothschilds.
Yeah. So, but eventually, brass tacks came down. And was like, so I'm so down with that with your rap group. Oh, you're down with this? And he rolls up.
Brexit was a thing back then?
No. He's like, I'm down with that, like talking about like my album, Public Enemy, and all this stuff. Oh, you're down with this? He rolls up his sleeves and he's got a swastika tattooed on his bicep, and like I'm in this Wrexham, this tiny Welsh village, and I was like, no, I'm not down with that.
And you're dressed up as Sista Mista.
Yeah. Oh. And it was like a very awkward interaction. I'm like, you know what? I'm busy. I can't make it over to your place. I'm sorry.
You know, good sir, in my country, specifically where I live, your teeth would be caved in.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. It gave me an insight in the kind of cognitive dissonance a lot of these alt-right and not fascists engage in, where like apparently you can be a fan of Public Enemy but still call for genocide of non-white peoples. You know, it's fucking weird, man.
Well, I'm a fan of Public Enemy, and one of their members that no one really remembers did once say the Jews caused all the wars in the world.
Yeah.
You're a bigger Public Enemy fan. Which one was that? Some doctors, whatever.
Was it Professor Griff?
I think that was him. He went on some radio show.
There was a lot of like Farrakhan influence, and like especially the 90s.
And, even Chuck D was like,
Yeah.
He cringed just as hard as
Yeah.
when Flavor Flav was doing his whole.
Oh yeah. I got a show. Everybody. This was at a Public Enemy concert in like 2008, and the crowd started to boo him, and like you could tell the rest of the band was like, "Oh man, crap!"
God damn it!
Yeah.
This is as bad as when we had that one member who made anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything notable about your other places you visited?
Well, I did take some time out. I went to the Zaget Music Festival, which I will say, if it's still going on, it happens in Budapest, Hungary, once a year at the end of July, early August. It's a week long. If you're making a Euro trip, I say make it a point to do that, because it was probably some of the most fun I've ever had in my damn life.
Is that the one where you saw Macklemore at?
Yeah, Macklemore was there, along with like 500 other bands a lot of bands I want to see more than Macklemore, but, you know.
How dare you?
Yeah,
How dare you not say
this is the moment.
Greatest white rapper of all time.
All right, actually, all of my radical folks in Kalamazoo, I'm going to tell you this right now. If something happens to me, or like I'm like, tonight, we got to start the revolution now, I will post on my Facebook page the music video for "This Is the Moment, Tonight Is the Night."
Oh, you're not going to do Old Town Road, so everyone can scream, "Can't tell me nothing."
You're to tell me nothing.
Oh wait, we're actually going to do that when we storm Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
when we Naruto run into that fucking place.
You're spilling the extraterrestrial beans there, man.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
We are all going to clap some alien shit.
Yeah. But I think one of my favorite stories, though, was this really goes to this is compare and contrast. So I mentioned I ran out of money near that part of the trip. Literally ran out of money right after Zaget. So I'm sleeping in a park.
Yeah, you were in Italy at the time, right?
Oh no, this was still in Budapest. So I was in Hungary
shit.
When I first lost all my money, and I didn't lose it. I just.
Sorry, another reason why I wanted to talk about this, in light of my own trips, because I remember these fragments from when you came back.
Yeah.
So you had a lot to say about when you got to Italy, specifically.
And this ties into that. This group of homeless folks who lived in like the kind of Budapest metro. They took me in. They shared their food with me. They told me like where to sleep. Like again, language barrier. They didn't know English. They told me where they would like cook food, and like we shared medicine and food and toiletries and stuff. And it really showed me like just the power of like human solidarity and community.
Were they squatting in this building?
Well, it was like the underground metro, so it was like one of those things where like you can sleep here kind of, but we don't really.
Because I know Europe has a way more vibrant squatting culture than I think America does.
They certainly do. Yeah.
Way more radical.
Ran into that a lot in Copenhagen. They had a whole bustling warehouse.
That's
scene.
a lot of thing with Europe in general. Like everything that we do, they do like 1,000 times better, more extreme.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that contrasts, like about a week later in the trip, I was broke in Rome, sleeping under some very, very, very old bridges, and I still had like a leftover cold from the Zagat Festival, because you're dancing around with complete strangers for a week, many of whom from completely different parts of the world. They're gonna get a little something. And I was like, if I could just get enough money for cold medicine to last me through the rest of my time in Rome, I would be a much happier camper. So I tried busking, panhandling, literally right outside the Sistine Chapel.
Did you dress up like Sista Mista?
No, this time it was just in civvy clothes.
Too tired.
Nobody gave me a goddamn penny. Neither did they give the woman who's like next to me, who's like an actual like homeless person in Rome. In fact, like one guy who might have been Danish, I don't know, he had kind of an accent. He was just like, "Oh, that must be really bad for you then," because like I literally wrote on my sign, "American traveler, out of money, need money for cold medicine."
Wait, you had like a roundabout trip. Take it back, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
I bought all of my travel tickets first. Before, like, as soon as I got there, that's what I planned out. That's another travel tip.
An intellectual buys round trip, then goes broke.
Yes,
that's
exactly. Yeah, because you always have a way back. Man.
If you can starve for just 3 more days,
you'll just end up on like a lot of ferries and trains, smelling awful. Yeah.
Wait, you dumpster dived too, didn't you?
Oh, I sure did. That's how I survived that last couple weeks.
As a former resident of Kalamazoo, where, at least when I lived here, there was a vibrant dumpster dive culture.
Oh, it still is. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm.
I dumpster dived many a time out of Little Caesars, get free pizza after 2 a.m. when I got hammered.
Oh, yeah.
How was the dumpster diving?
It was exquisite.
Especially in Italy, fucking Italian jokes.
Well, I was in these
so much lasagna, so much meatballs.
So yeah, it was really good dumpster diving in those places because they were all like heavy tourist cities. So you have a lot of people buy really good, expensive food, and then like finish half of it, throw it in like a perfectly wrapped bag or container into a trash can, and like presto, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There you go. Yeah, that's
Yeah. Did you interact with any people that like worked for the Vatican, or anyone that I guess was a priest or a cardinal in some way?
No, not really. I couldn't even get into the Sistine Chapel because apparently you have to be wearing pants. So yeah, I literally lost my last pair of pants.
Of all the institutions to be complaining about decency.
Yeah.
The Catholic.
Exactly. But I literally left my last pair of pants in Copenhagen because I got way, way, way too fucking high with some like Danish anarchists. So it's like, left my jeans in Denmark. I'm about to go to Sweden. Oh crap!
Yeah, you probably could have gotten some pants and some food and shelter at one of the many male brothels that the Vatican runs.
Yeah,
and they keep getting busted for.
Yeah.
Well, one last place. I keep forgetting where you went there or not because I suggested to you. Did you go to Christiania?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yes. Excellent. If people don't know, Christiania, which country is it located in?
It's in Denmark, in Copenhagen specifically.
Yep.
And
you explain it.
So it's basically an anarchist collective that's been operating for about 60 years, and I visited there a whole lot. I spent about a week in Denmark.
So what is it? Is it a neighborhood or is it like a separate city?
It's kind of a little of both, and there's even like kind of specific sections. Christiania has been going on so long, it's almost like a tourist destination unto itself. So there's kind of a part of it that's meant more for like visitors, and then there's the actual part where people live and work and sustain. And I got to know a lot of those people while I was there. It was basically my main thing I was doing in Copenhagen was just hanging out with the Christiania folks. And a lot of the older ones I talked to, they did complain about it becoming like commercialized. But at the same time, they had a pretty good setup with the...
Well, were they angry at you, like, tourists like you are doing this?
No, not at all, especially because I went there specifically to learn about how...
You weren't like the ugly American taking pictures.
Yeah, I'm like...
you see, they got free everything.
Yeah, I'm the American radical. I want to see how you have things set up here and bring that knowledge back with me. Coming from that perspective, they were a lot more respectful, and honestly, like... such amazing hospitality. There's this one night, I will say, man, it's Christiania. They have a reputation for having really strong hashish. Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Argo just rolled his eyes back in ecstasy.
There's nights where
the memory makes you...
They invited me over for dinner, and like my whole goal with like getting in those places was to have these... I'd love just having conversations with people from different parts of the world, but they would get me so fucking baked that I would just sit there. It's like, it's like
typical fucking American.
Yeah,
can't handle the
one night, like it's like the American's pretty quiet, and I'm like, yeah, you guys got me way too stoned. It's like, and again, it's like give him a to-go box. It's, stagger back to his campsite.
So, didn't you say, like, if you wanted to live there, you need to know some type of skill? Like, say, carpentry or electronics?
No, yeah, exactly. You need to come there knowing how to, like, build, knowing basic medicine, like, making sure that you know how to, like, garden, and have something that lends itself to the community. You can't just be like, hey, guys, I want to move into Christiania. No.
I'm going to set up an artist pad here. I'm gonna set up my special indie Spotify playlist.
Yeah, but in that sense, it still is meeting like kind of That's its goal from the beginning. It's like make sure that the community can sustain itself. They're still doing that. There is a little bit of commercialization that goes into it, but
Oh yeah,
you know.
I'm proud to say that I'm the one that suggested that place to you. I, in fact,
you.
posted a link to the Wikipedia article about it on your wall,
Yeah.
which your mom promptly replied, "What the fuck, Garrett?"
Yeah. They were worried about. My parents didn't know any of this shit was going on.
I didn't argue with her, but I'm like, what? What'd I do?
Yeah. It's just like, we're trying to make sure our son doesn't go to dangerous places and do dangerous things, even though I did the whole time.
Christianity, when I looked it up, has actually have a history of fighting off reactionary forces.
They have,
specifically like white gangs that try to go in
they
there,
have.
including like our Norwegian chapter, the Hells Angels.
Oh, that actually reminds me of a fun Copenhagen interaction. It wasn't at Christiania, but it's one of my favorite stories. I was sitting around at Bulgiski Fabriken. This is one of these pop-up squats that they were doing artsy stuff in. And I ran into like some genuine like Copenhagen hood rats, you know, and they were asking me a few things. They're like, you know, oh, you know, you feel a little nervous? Well, this is like the bad part of Copenhagen. And they were like, you know, do you think like you'll get robbed? You know, you're an American tourist. You probably have money. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh, was this one of the famous no-go zones that right-wingers like to claim?
No, like these folks were like actual like,
by no-go zones, it's a racist belief that Muslim neighborhoods suddenly no fucking white Christian can go in there without being killed.
But no, here's a hilarious thing. I'm gonna level with you. I actually have an ATM receipt from my last withdrawal. Take a look at it, and him and like the rest of his crew were just like, "This is how much money you have? How much longer are you in Europe? Like a month?" I'm like, this motherfucker is crazy. He's here on like no money, and he's like, "Here, give me your rap album." And he put it in his stereo, car stereo. It was like it was blasting. Everybody's like playing like basketball and shit. It was
I very much like the song about McDonald's.
Yeah. This McDonald's shit is dope. Dope
Fuck
as the Americans say.
Everyone now. Fuck you. Fuck you. And fuck you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my next European trip, I don't know when it'll be exactly, since next year I'm thinking about going to New York for the first time. But next time, I am thinking about Norway or Sweden.
Yeah.
Totally not because of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Nope, not at all. Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Somewhere that's nice and vice-free, fresh air.
Yeah.
Totally not Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall you had a great experience.
I sure did. Yeah.
So I guess even in light of going campaigning for city commissioner, any plans to try to do another big trip like that or anywhere in Europe?
I will see how it goes. I think this is some good travel advice I'll give to everyone. We've probably only got, if we're really lucky, another decade of accessible travel left before shit really starts hitting the fan. So
that's when Jesus will finally come down and destroy the world, not the climate apocalypse.
So my rough plan is, if I get into city commission, 4 to 8 years, spend doing that, and then at the end of the 8 years, maybe with my partner, just plan another trip around the world. I think this time I'd like to explore Southeast Asia. I've been to Europe twice so far, but I haven't really explored that part of the world yet. So.
Bring back all those great communist ideals that China has.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, that is a legit thing I'd like to do sometime, is like go to some of these existing communist states like China and North Korea and just like see it from the horse's mouth, as it were, you know.
If you go in North Korea, better bring Dennis Rodman.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, make sure to get a letter of recommendation or personal endorsement.
Well, brother, that's all I have to say. We're going on 2 hours here.
Yeah. And
just as I'm sure Bernie Sanders appearing on Joe Rogan Experience is going to get him elected, I'm positive that you appearing on the Garret Schuelke podcast will get you elected.
I'm betting on it, Garrett. Bring me those listeners, man.
If you would totally light up a blunt right now, you'd win hands down.
Damn.
You'd win all 3 seats.
Shit. Yeah, all 3. Yeah. All 3 seats and the mayor's spot.
All right. Let's end this, dude.
All right.
I got to get back home because a special podcast tonight because we usually record in the afternoon, but due to Mr. Argo's hard work and dedication, we had to start this at 8:30 at night, and I gotta get up at 6 in the morning to work.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah,
I gotta get up at 7. But
and a little background here. I was worried that our dear friend Zach Elmblad here would not be able to host us for this, but then, which he said he would, which shocked me at first. But then I remembered that, unlike us, some people are actually living out their dreams. and don't have to work 40 hours a week. Get up at 6 a.m.
No, I just work 100 hours a week, but I do it when I want.
There you go.
You're still doing a lot better than working at a warehouse. Put that way. Actually, what are you playing right now?
I'm playing the Nintendo Switch, and the game I'm playing is Rogue Legacy, which is like a randomly generated dungeon game. Where
Does that make you feel violent right now?
That's
Vile?
Yeah, violence. Yeah.
All I want to do is start hitting everybody with
Because
swords.
we're bringing back that hysteria, bro. The late 90s, early 2000s video game hysteria.
Yeah. I played Animal Crossing, and all of a sudden I just started chopping down my neighbor's trees, and
I do hope comes back with the hysteria. You ever remember an anti-video game activist and lawyer named Jack Thompson?
Oh yeah, bring back Jack Thompson.
I do. I hope he comes back.
Oh man,
he became big when the Grand Theft Auto coffee mod came on.
Yeah,
but then he kind of faded away after that. He got disbarred because he's a grifter.
Yeah.
So I hope he comes back.
Yeah, same.
So, yeah, it's the end of this podcast. Andy, anything you want to plug right now?
I got the radio show out of here, Hood Rat Strategist radio program. That's from 6 to 8 p.m. on 89.1 WIDR, and we upload episodes every week to our YouTube channel. You can find us on Facebook as well at that same name. Again, it's a weekly leftist broadcast where we talk about national, international, local issues from a staunchly leftist perspective. Other than that, please follow Kalamazoo Socialist Party page. However the election turns out, we're still going to be organizing a fuck ton. And that's about it for now, at least I can think of. So.
All right, everyone, and thank you for listening to this 2 hours and 15 minutes worth of cultural Marxism. Hopefully it's propaganda, totally warp your brain.
Yeah. That's the hope.
Makes you want to destroy Western culture as much as I do on daily basis.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening. You can download this podcast off the Internet Archive, stream it on YouTube. Oh, and you can find it other various places now. Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, and Spotify. And you know what? Click on those links because I can now do sponsored ads through Anchor. I have my first one up, which is for Anchor. And funny enough, they give you a thing where they tell you, say where you want, but put in these points.
Yeah.
I was listening all the places, and instead of Google Podcasts, I accidentally said Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. Oh.
But they're still paying me for it. I'm slowly making my way up to $15 they'll give me. Last time I checked, I'm 73 cents so far.
Yeah.
So click those links, help put money in my car.
Yeah. There you go.
Check out the page on Facebook.
Yeah.
Check out my website, GarretSchuelke.tumblr.com. Catch me up on Twitter at Garret Schuelke. Yeah, we're good. Thank you, Zach, for hosting us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zach. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all, folks. We're out here.
Yeah.
I gotta get to bed.
Seize the means. I gotta get to bed. I also have to pee real bad, so I'll do that first.
Oh, what a coincidence! What a coincidence! Because I have to shit my britches.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, till next time.
That's a perfect way to leave it off. Let's just do that.
Shit, I just did.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks everyone. Here's the outro song.
Yeah.
It takes two to fuck things up, but the things you did made me say, what the fuck? You make it easy to walk away from the bullshit. Well, it takes two to fuck things up, but the things you did made me say, what the fuck? hate you. It takes two to fuck things up, but the things you did made me say, what the fuck? You make it easy to walk away from the bullshit. Well, it takes two to fuck things up, but the things you did made me say, what the fuck? You make it easy to walk away from the bullshit. Saying it's fine when it's not sticks to my anxiety like glue. And we both know things went up in flames, but your stubborn side laughed as I choked from smoke inhalation. Well, everything's fucked up, what the fuck? Everything's fucked up, what the fuck? Everything's fucked up, what the fuck? Oh, everything's fucked up, what the fuck? 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 It takes two to fuck things up, but the things you did made me say, what the fuck? You make it easy to walk away from the bullshit. Well, it takes two to fuck things up, but the things you did made me say, what the fuck? You make it easy to walk away from the bullshit. Well, everything's